Joseph Trades here. My last day of vacation at this place. Let me show you what I'm dealing with here. Hold on. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough assignment. I just thought I would make a video talking about why I trade, sort of my history in all of this, how I got to where I am, how far I noticed that I've come, lessons I've learned along the way about not only trading but myself. This is all just coming from free thought, so there's no script or anything for this, so I'll do the best that I can to be eloquent with this. So when did I get interested in trading? Well, I didn't really know it at the time, but when I was in 5th grade, I overheard someone in my class talking about stocks, and they said that their grandma or somebody had bought them a few shares of Coca-Cola. You know, back then Coca-Cola was probably even more of a blue chip stock than it's considered to be today. It was in a huge growth mode. We're talking, let's see, 5th grade was like the mid 80s, you know. And so that really piqued my interest. I said, what is she talking about, a stock? What's that? And I learned that, you know, it's a share of ownership in a company that can grow in time and increase your financial prospects. And oh, by the way, it might pay dividends. But that intrigued me. I came from very modest means. Both of my parents were teachers. They're now retired, great people. But you know, I grew up somehow thinking that financial markets and things were just not something for me. You know, that I don't know that I don't know if I had some doubt about myself or something like that. Who knows if it's from my childhood or whatever. Maybe it's my mental makeup, but I went a long time thinking that, you know, someone from my background could not do something like that. So while I was interested, I never really gave myself a chance. Well, fast forward a couple of decades, and I started dabbling in trading stocks. Of course, I didn't know about futures yet. Man, you should have seen when I first started dabbling in trading. My first charting software, I knew charts had a lot of value. I just knew it. And so before I get to when I got my first trading software and how that went, I started reading books. I'm not joking when I say that over my quote-unquote trading career, I've probably read over 100 books. Now, and I'm talking cover to cover, full attention. You know, it's an education you have to give yourself. They don't teach you trading at schools. You have to learn it yourself. I'm self-taught. All of my knowledge came from books and experience. But what I'm getting at is not all of the books I read were that great. Some of them were frankly trash. But there were a few really solid seminal pieces in there that really gave me some good information along the way. Well, once I had a basic knowledge and foundation in, you know, in basically reading charts and understanding how markets work from a technical perspective, I said, all right, it's time to get some charting software. Not trading yet, some just charting software. So my first charting software was from a company called Stock Charts, and it was good at the time. And the brand doesn't really matter. Like you could Your first charting software today, if you started, might be TradingView, which is what I use now. TradingView is considered the gold standard in charting. It's just superior to anything else out there. So a free plug for TradingView. I don't get reimbursed by them or anything or compensated. I'm just telling you, if you happen to have already made it this far, then that proves that you're not a short attention span person, and you probably have a chance at succeeding in trading if you can give it the attention and effort it requires. But regardless, the first charts I produced on StockChart had so many indicators on them. It was crazy. I must have had, I'm not kidding, about 15 different indicators, because, you know, I just wanted confirmation of what I was seeing. I hadn't learned price action yet, which is really where technical based trading, you have to have a core competence in price action. Everything else develops off of that, but that was a few years off. I'll get to that in a little bit. Well, anyway, had some beginner's luck with my StockCharts 20 indicator charts, and but it didn't last. And went a few years. I gave up a few times. I came back to it and never could really get a handle on what I needed to do. So a few years go by. I was working an overnight job during those years, and what was nice about it was a good high-paying job, but there was a lull in the middle of the night for a few hours every night. So I would bring like the most dry, heavy-duty texts possible, like Duplessis point and figure text. Like, point and figure was something I got into, and while I have since learned that breakouts do not work most of the time, it provided me a lot of valuable information about, support and resistance and key levels. So, but that was the type of stuff I read, in my downtime at work, when I probably should have been doing other things, but I knew that I needed to keep educating myself, and that was valuable time. And so I did, and I'd get done with that, and I'd bring another book, and I would just read and increase my knowledge. Well, let's see. At some point, I realized that I was missing a few key areas of knowledge that mainly I should have started with, but nobody told me because I was self-taught, as I said, never had a mentor or anything. Just went by what I thought I should learn next. So it occurred to me that I didn't really know how market structure worked. You have to know how market structure works. If you're just beginning your trading journey, I highly recommend that you understand market structure. It's essential. So after I got that knowledge, I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit. When I got the idea that I could really do this and eventually make it a full-time thing and provide for all of my financial needs, I got the confidence to finally do this at some point. Well, I had an unfortunate event happen for me. My wife asked for a divorce, and so I had a lot more time on my hands. That's sort of it's the reality. I mean, it was a horrible thing. I don't ever recommend anybody go through it if you can avoid it. I lost a lot in that. I have a lot of pain, a lot of regret. But one thing it did give me was the freedom and time to finally pursue something that until then I had never really given myself a chance to do with the intensity and the commitment and and grind that is needed. So when that happened, I started really learning about things that were knowledge gaps. And so my first knowledge gap was market structure. So I had to fill in the blank, like, how did you have so much time to do this? Well, there are two sides of every coin, and so the bad side of the divorce coin was all of the things bad you can think about it, of which there are many. But one of the few, and I say few because there aren't many, but one of the few good things was it gave me the time to really focus and make these trading goals become reality one by one. And I'm still doing that, but back to the story. Hopefully nobody's too bored yet. Oh, if you've made it this far, congratulations. You are among the 5% who, if you follow your dreams and drive, will probably be able to make it in the trading game, because it does require attention and commitment. And most people in this society do not have attention span long enough to get through something like this, of a 51-year-old guy walking on the beach talking about his quote-unquote journey. Such a lame term, but I have to use it because it has been a journey. And it is a journey, and I continue on the journey. But if you've made it this far, considering liking and subscribing to my channel, I'm not trying to win any YouTube awards obviously, but if I can help a couple of people out with my experience and knowledge, then to me that's worth it. It's worth doing this. So this is sort of also like a little brain dump, sort of a reflection time. This is going to be a 2-hour walk. I'm not going to talk for 2 hours on this video, at least I don't plan on it. So anyway, I had a lot of time on my hands. First area I started to tackle was market structure. Gotta know market structure. After I studied that for a few months and had a firm grasp of it, I started studying price action. Now there was the key. So people have different opinions on the author Al Brooks as a trader. Some people think he's a charlatan because he sells expensive courses and doesn't really provide trading results, but that doesn't change the value of the content in his books for helping you to learn price action. He has 3 books in his series, and I read them cover to cover in order, and it took me over a year and a half, and that year and a half was valuable. That was energy and time invested in some of the most dry material possible, but essential material if you really want to learn what's going on with price action. And so something I had avoided for so long, learning price action, I tackled in about a year and a half. But that was only really the beginning. After I did that, I was still trading discretionary at the time, and with varying luck, I learned about prop firms, and they have their use and they have their place, but it's too easy to gamify them because they're quote unquote cheap, and they're really not cheap if you can't control your emotions and follow your rules, etc. So for a long time I started learning all that I could about trading psychology, and I dove into it just as deeply as I had dove into the price action. And so I read all of the quintessential books about trading psychology, and I journaled, and I reflected, and I meditated, and I would make progress, and then the demons would rise up and wipe out like months worth of progress in one bad session. A tale as old as time for people who day trade. I had a journaling software. What was it called? TradeZella. Yeah, TradeZella was really good at that time because I would go weeks for a time with making consistent profits. I was getting good payouts. They were sporadic, but I was getting payouts. A lot of people trade prop firms and never pass a challenge account and never get a payout. Over my time trading futures, which I'll tell you about how I got into futures in a little bit. Over my time trading futures, probably been about a year and a half to 2 years by now, I've probably gotten about 50,000 or so in payouts from various prop firms, which, you know, is encouraging, but the name of the game is consistency in trading. And I was not consistent. I would have streaks of doing great, following all the rules, feeling like I knew what was going on, and then one choppy session would make me tap into my caveman brain I learned about, and revenge trading and tilt would inevitably happen. So after some time of trying to will myself and educate myself and journal myself and meditate myself to consistency, I realized finally that I needed an automated approach. And I'll get to that in just a moment. Well, you might ask, well, why did you decide to go from stocks to futures? Well, this was my first foray into the quote-unquote gurus that you pay money for. There's a guy on YouTube, and I've got to give him a lot of props. He taught me a lot. His strategy just doesn't work for my personality. That's something you'll understand when you develop your own strategy. It has to be tailored to your personality. But Joseph James, really, he sold me on the idea of trading futures for a lot of reasons. Futures have great liquidity. You know, the hours that they're traded are nearly 24/7. They have tax advantages if you have a live account, which is something I have now. And you know, some futures contracts tend to move in extremely predictable ways, believe it or not, especially on, like, say, a 5-minute time chart or a 5-minute time frame, pardon me. So I paid a couple of thousand to this guy and joined his little group. And you know, every morning I would log in and he would prepare the charts, and a lot of his analysis is really excellent. I mean, if you've never heard of him, he's got a lot of great information. Some people have complained about him about some things he's done in the past personally. And you know, nobody's perfect, but just from a futures trading perspective and the knowledge he can give, and I'm not talking about his trading results or anything. A lot of these gurus sell courses because they can't trade and make money full time. I mean, that's the bottom line. When you see a lot of these guys flossing Lambos and stuff, they're not getting that from trading. They're getting it from selling courses because they can't trade, because it's so hard, because human brains are not wired to do it. So I got a lot of information from him that really helped me to ultimately develop my own strategy, which is the key. You see, if you're going to trade You can't really trade anybody else's strategy unless you believe in it. And the only way to believe in it is to do the hard work it takes to get data, where you can make data-driven decisions and endure the drawdowns that happen, because you start learning about probabilities and thinking in probabilities, and that's not another natural thing for humans to do either. So anyway, after a few months of his chat room, and I just could not follow his trades because it didn't mesh with my personality. Like, I couldn't stick with him. I would enter and immediately get out when I had a small profit. And he would use limit orders at key zones. So to me, it was like, and some people use limit orders great. Not me. I like to make the market prove where it's going. My strategy, that's one of the components. I always enter based on stops. But that's just me. It's my personality. I like the proof that momentum is, going the way it should toward my level or zone or whatever I'm targeting. But after a few months of getting frustrated with, not doing as well as he was, because I couldn't stay in the trades or follow it because it's his strategy, it occurred to me, I've got to develop my own strategy. And so I started that long, tedious process. You know those journals that are like the black and white type that you can buy at a grocery store for, it used to be $1 or $2. Now, due to inflation, it's probably $4 or $5. But I digress. But I have about, in my library, in my office, at this point, I probably have, I'm not joking, about 10 of those journals with notes and stats, just, over the course of a few years. There's so much information. But I had, the first couple of journals I had, what I would do is at the end of the sessions is I would draw the charts on a 15-minute and a 5-minute time frame with the candles and the levels to get a feel for it, like old school work, man. And I would draw it, and they're beautiful. They're like pieces of art. In fact, I might frame some of them one day. But what that did is that would force me to get a feel for how the market moved throughout a session, because I would like put pen to paper and look at a chart on TradingView. I use TradingView by this time, by the way. And I would recreate the day's session and make notes. And I did that for a long time. By the way, I was working at a different company now, real laid-back company, and I had some time at the end of the shifts to do this. Again, should I have been doing this? No, but there was nothing else to do. And really, honestly, in the places I was, I had about 2 hours at the end of every day. So rather than look at my phone and scroll TikTok or whatever, I would do this. So I justified it by everybody else is looking at their phone. So why don't I just do some work to get closer to my goal? I've drank a lot of water because I was preparing for this long walk, and now I've got to use the world's largest toilet. So join me if you will. I'll keep this video going. I will not reveal anything graphic. Let's just journey out here for a second, shall we? Look at this view. Wow. All right, here we go. We're waiting. The goal is to not get the phone wet, obviously. This crystal clear water. Whoa, had a little splash there. Didn't drop it. That's good. All right. Now, Just gonna look at this view, and there we go. Just relax. Oh yeah. Wow, look how far we've come. We started down at that fishing pier down there. Yeah. Almost recycled. Oh yeah. Woo. Ah, much better. Now, let's make sure we get back without falling down. Okay. Only a few more minutes left in this video, hopefully. My goal is to keep it under 45. Right now I'm at 25. Let's see if I can get up this incline without falling. All right, good. Check that out. Gorgeous, isn't it? Okay. To get my water and keep this going. How long have I been walking? Wow, I've been walking a while now. That's good. I'm gonna turn around here in a bit. You know, doing this sure does make the walk go by quicker, I'll tell you that. But my goal is, after I walk an hour one way, to be done with this video so I can have a meditative walk going back. Because you gotta meditate, and you gotta focus on breathing in the moment. And it's so easy to get distracted with other things, but when you focus and meditate, things come to you. And what a segue. How did I develop my strategy? Well, I was walking in one of my favorite places on earth during a year-long hiatus I took involuntarily, because the laid-back company that I was working for fired me because somebody who I did not need to tell to use the drive-through when they had COVID complained to somebody they were really friendly with, and ultimately that led to my dismissal. But that was a blessing, because now I'm with a company that's far superior, and I really give it my all with them. When I go in and work for them, they're getting their money's worth every time. So that worked out for the betterment of everyone. But in that year that I took as a hiatus / let me figure out what's going on with trading, I was walking in the Botanical Gardens located near Athens, Georgia. As you can tell, Georgia Bulldog, graduated. And so this idea came to me. And out of nowhere, I think I was just doing a meditative walk, and all the knowledge I had of price action and all of my observation of how markets actually move daily, it just it crystallized into an idea that I could make a strategy out of this. And so then I really started keeping data. I'm talking hardcore detailed data that I continue to this day, because you have to stay on top of your edge, because markets change and things need to be adjusted. But the beauty of my strategy is it always works, no matter what the volatility, no matter if things are chopping around or trending. My strategy is designed to catch very quick scalps toward key levels. And so I had to develop the framework to do this and have it automated. Well, anybody who knows me knows I'm not a computer genius or a tech genius. In fact, if I can break a piece of technology by just looking at it wrong, I'm probably going to have that happen. Well, I knew I needed to hire somebody to code my strategy. So about a year ago, actually, yeah, it was a year in June, a year ago this June, I found somebody who I thought could handle the job. And a few months went by, and he never really got it. I don't know why. I mean, my strategy is very easy to explain. It's proprietary, of course. I can't tell it to you. I mean, you do your own work. But he just couldn't get it. But one thing he did get was a key component that I now use with my other coder. And we'll get to him in a minute. But he wasn't a total loss. He developed one key piece of code that I incorporated into what I do now. So the bottom line is, I now have a strategy that consists of two components. The first component is perfected and has been running since March of this year. And that's the simple part of, that's the simple component of my strategy suite, I call it. The next component is much more complex from a data and coding point of view, but not from a real trading point of view. Like I said, it's so stupidly simple, but this guy got it. He finally got what I was going for. He understood my concepts. And so, you know, I've been working with him. A friend of mine named Dr. Newman helped me find him on this website called Fivers. And man, what a pro this guy is. His name is Brady. And anyway, I hate to tell people about him because it'll be less time for me to bother him about my strategies, but what a professional. Well, Brady is about to have my second component of my main strategy completed. In fact, he just gave me an update last night. So when I get back from vacation, I'm going to start back testing it and debugging it. And within a month, the culmination of all this hard work is going to be realized in an automated strategy. And I realized I needed an automated strategy when I knew that I was never going to be able to overcome my psychological issues. Some people can. There are some famous discretionary traders. Well, I'm not one of them, but I'm real good at seeing markets, and I'm real good at doing the work every day to stay on top of my data, and I'm very persistent. So my strengths are perseverance, observation, and attention to detail. And so that's where all this is come from. And so the bottom line is, what's been hardest for me has been overcoming technical issues with data feeds from NinjaTrader. I mean, and I'm getting some workarounds for that, but my biggest bugaboo has been lost connections with NinjaTrader, even when using a VPS, which this is all technical jargon, but there are ways to overcome what I've experienced so that my strategy can run from 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when it opens to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time the next day, because my strategy produces about 36 opportunities a day, and it has a very high win rate. And so once I get it technically sound with reliability, and once Brady finishes delivering the final product, then I'm pretty sure that walks on the beach like this will occur in much more exotic locations than the Gulf of Mexico, Florida. Not that there's anything wrong with this. I mean, look at this again. It's pretty nice, isn't it? But you know, I want to travel the world, and I want to see different cultures and experience all that I can before my time in this spacesuit expires. And so that's what this is all about. I've got a great job with a great company right now, providing me stable, predictable income while I continue working on my trading goals that really all began when I was in 5th grade. So I guess my lesson is, and my take home is, if you have a dream, don't doubt your ability to get there if you believe in yourself and know you can put in the work. I guess believing in yourself is one of the hardest things to do. I guess you could say I never always believed in myself, and about a lot of things I probably still don't, but with trading I do. and I've got the data that backs it up, and I believe in my strategy, and I believe it's only a matter of time before all of my trading goals will be realized. And I want to encourage you to never give up on your goals and to do what it takes to get there. And if you have any questions, ask me in the comments. I'll be happy to answer and interact. If you've made it this far in the video, wow, you are a special person, and you have a good attention span, and you can do it. Well, it's been 35 minutes. I think I'm going to see when I need to turn back around. Thanks for listening and joining me, everybody. Until next time, great trading, everyone.